speech and language pathologist who has her own business now, Jen Taylor. Jen, thanks for stopping by. And, when we talk about specifically enough education, people forget about speech therapists and the importance of language and how a lot of times language has a lot to do in development. But talk about your background, how many years you were a speech therapist to decide I'm going to have my own business.
Yeah, well, I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. I'm the little eight-year-old out on the corner selling snow cones and doing that kind of a thing. So, but as far as becoming a speech language pathologist, I had a professor who described like physicians prescribe medication, speech language pathologists prescribe family time together. Because in the heart of the family is where communication and interaction, social language and engaging develops, and we're able to learn those skills to become successful. And I have such hard ingrained family roots. It got me excited to be able to facilitate that with families. And so from that, I've been in the field for almost about 2 decades, working as a speech language pathologist. And about 4 years ago, as I was in the hospitals and I spent a time in the school systems and even in some outpatient clinics and skilled nursing facilities, I just was looking for that ideal freedom to wield your craft with creativity and ingenuity, right? There's lots of red tape, I guess you could call it, within the different systems that exist. And I just believe that if we did great therapy, everything else would fall into place. Focus on the child, focus on the family, right? And so I went to my husband and I said, it doesn't exist. Let's build it. And so we set out on this journey and we built Breaking Barriers Therapy Services. And it's been an incredible journey as we've now grown from 1 employee, you're looking at her, to 95 employees, providing 3 service lines of not just speech language pathology, but also occupational therapy and ABA therapy, which is applied behavior analysis. It's very specific, intense, science-driven services for the autism population, as well as other populations that just need that added support of some intensity, right, to make those changes and transformation.
Are you mostly local? Where are you guys located?
Yeah, we're located in Utah, the towns of Saratoga Springs and Lehi, but we're expanding our reach in education, right? And getting to the online space as well, because this framework that we utilize is unique, right? Where we take these sister help professions and we merge them, where the professionals talk to one another, and not just talk to one another, but have the willingness to understand each other's language, right? You have a background in education. You know that one professional might call something one term and then the other uses the same term, but is referring to something else, right? And then we get conflict. And the beauty at Breaking Barriers is these professionals who are willing to focus in on the child and great therapy, so whatever it takes. So we have this constant sort of dynamic of calibrating. Well, what does that mean to you? Oh, okay, that means this to me. Now let's calibrate. And now we're back off to the races, really helping the children and families expedite that progress. It's a beautiful thing.
So the therapists are in the Utah area. However, you're looking at expanding your reach to online to provide and help families either through education or potentially consulting that cannot or that are not in the Utah area, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Our first product, we just launched it. It's called the Unshakable Mother, and it actually focuses in on parent training, if you will, or more so like parent coaching and mentorship. We have coaches for everything in our lives, right? You want to become a good athlete. You want to get great at music. You've got your teachers, your coaches, and we invest a lot of money into this. But the most important work we'll ever do is within the walls of our own home.
Totally.
What are we doing to invest in that?
And we've stopped investing. See, I had a tutoring business years ago, and parent coaching was one of the hottest things going. I'd say about 15, let's go, if we're going in the history of things, 20 years ago, it was very hot. And I'd say late 2000, like 2015, it started really disappearing, the
Mhm.
parent coaching business. Why do you think that the parent coaching business has kind of disappeared? Then you go into COVID. Now there's such a huge need that there's not as many parent coaches as there were before to work with parents about behavior and all these different things. Remember the days of the super nanny, all that stuff's disappeared. Why do you think that's happened?
That's a really great question. I could speculate maybe TikTok, right? You've got these young moms hitting the TikTok scene. They've got questions. They're going to be Googling or looking up on TikTok. But it's so confusing. It's like, can we cut through the crap that's
Right.
out there?
But
Because
I
you
mean,
got,
I think it's the moms today are not able to understand how important it is, the dynamics that need to be done. And meaning that specifically enough, there's a serious discipline, as we saw in that one mom from Utah that I interviewed, Juju Chang, on my show about the special. I had her on a week and a half ago, and we talked
Mhm.
about all that. And, or you're going to look at specifically one that it's laissez faire, that you can do whatever you want. No one knows the correct way to parent, but I saw such a huge marketplace for it when there was the super nanny and nanny 911, but it's kind of, as I said, disappeared. And you think it's TikTok, but I also think it's the new parent generation compared to when I was a parent. I mean, I'm still a parent of 6 kids, but meaning I understand exactly what the parenting strategies are far different based on how technology's changed things, how dynamics and work have changed things. And I think COVID's changed things a lot. But before that, we were starting to see not as important and parent education versus all the other coaching you're talking about.
Right. But what if it's not so much that it's you know, maybe we're missing the mark, right? You're talking about parent strategies, you're talking about, okay, do this with your kid, do that with your kid. And maybe that's was. Why are we not looking at, here's the question, why are we not looking at ourselves? Why are we not asking, what do I know? What do I not know? Right? Why are we not taking a moment
I
to
can I can tell you
actually
that reason.
own?
I can tell you that reason. The reason is about the mental health crisis that we have in this country for men and women under the age of 40.
Yes.
And it's dramatically different than when I was under 40 to now's demographic. I'm 51. And you look at specifically enough, most of them, COVID was one process, but another process. And they're the next generation of parents. And they don't want to be parented like their parents or their grandparents. They want a new way, just like the work day, just like how we have to, working, that no one has been able to figure out their kids, because our kids are in a different technology base, a different way that interact. And you can't look at how your parents parented you. That's the thing. You got to find an expert like yourself, and they're not willing to do it. So that's my take and why we're not seeing, but probably they are out there, but it's not as well known as, hey, we're going to go see this New York Times best-selling parenting coach. It's just not a marketplace.
Well, I really think it's about this responsibility and abdicating, looking for opportunities to abdicate responsibility, including in our parenting. So if I'm sitting there and I tell myself stories that my child is lazy, then I'm going to be reactive based on that story I tell myself.
You tell your child you're lazy, your child will stay lazy. We
That's right.
affirm every word that we say, in your speech and language
You got
pathologist.
it.
Know this: any word that you say, you've affirmed for yourself or somebody else. And I'm going to go law of attraction, kind of in my belief. But again, ultimately, mindset. If you tell your kid you're lazy, you're never going to amount to anything. You're never going to amount to anything. There are going to be stories that they're going to say, I'm going to prove you wrong. But there's not that many stories anymore that they're going to prove them wrong. So you have to really affirm in words the positive things for kids. You got to have some discipline and structure, but you got to know that you're not getting them upset. You're not here to push buttons. You're not here to sternly discipline. You have to basically look, each child's so different. And it's because of how our environment is now, our friend structure now. Hey, we used to all go
Absolutely.
play outside, all of us together. No one does that anymore.
No, you could always find where the kids were, is wherever the bikes were out on the grass, right? When I was growing up. But with this whole parent thing, we talk about child development and every child's different, but they all are subject to human behavior, and that's pretty consistent, right? So what about, my question and, well, not even my question, the answers that I have actually align. You have child development, and a child's going to progress through life. They have their life cycle, but there's also parent development. And we go through about 5 to 6 stages as a parent, and it's congruent and runs alongside congruent with the child's development, right? What's my stage? What's my role? When the child is 0 to 8, this is where I'm the nurturer and the disciplinarian. I'm here to teach you right from wrong, right? Truth and error. And then about from 8 to 12, it starts to shift. And now I'm moving into teacher. We're going to learn new things. We're going to give you opportunities. We're going to learn, activities of daily living as well as talents and giving that. And then and that lasts, up until about 12 or so, 12, 13. And then we shift again. So my parent development role shifts again into coach. So now I'm starting to step off to the sidelines, right? And then I'm going to coach. And every once in a while, I got to call that audible. Hey, buddy, now come on back. Let's get back to right and wrong. But then, okay, here's the play. I'm here. I'm going to coach you through this. And then about 16, we move into mentorship, where now the child is coming to me to then mentor. Hey, I've got some questions. Hey, now what happens once we get into early 20s, into that adulthood? Now we can move into friend. And parents get themselves in trouble when they're jumping
early. Yeah.
Yes. Parents get themselves in trouble
because kids are too manipulating. You don't want to be their friend, because when you treat them like a friend and then you act like a friend, it's not going to work. But it's also not going to work in the fact if you're too disciplined. If you discipline too much, it just won't work in this environment because most kids aren't being disciplined. It would have worked years ago.
If you try to jump from disciplinarian with truth, right and wrong to the 16-year-old, that's going to backfire. Right? Or if I'm trying to be the friend to the 12-year-old when I really need to be in that teaching, coaching space, that's going to backfire too. And then we're wondering, what's wrong with my kid? But nobody's talking about and helping the parent understand what their role is. And that's where the Unshakable Parent, the Unshakable Mother program comes in to help facilitate that. And I think that it's this crucial piece. And you said you got 6 kids?
Yeah.
My heck, Neil, you're jumping from role to role.
Absolutely. Let's jump real quick to this other part. Okay. Sure. The other part in this conversation is involving, is this your only product right now? That one?
This is my online product.
Online product. Okay. Yeah. What is that? Do you get coaching from people that are part of your team? Who ends up doing the coaching when they sign up?
So right now I'm currently doing the coaching.
Okay.
Yes. So they have an opportunity to meet directly with me. We've got a few slots for one-to-ones, and then really moving into this group coaching effort where we get to have breakouts and learn from one another. This is about creating a movement as well as a community of those who want to become unshakable. And that's the resiliency, right? We need to have emotional intelligence if we expect to teach our kids how to be emotionally intelligent. And the resiliency comes from understanding your role, getting clarity on what that is, having the tools for communicating, right? And within this, I've designed, it's a signature process called the Access Method. And here's my big promise, Neil, you ready for it?
Right.
I teach parents how to get their kids to listen on the first time.
All right. And that's the important thing, because you know how important those words are as a speech and language pathologist. Yes. Where can people find information on you? Best place to sign up online, but if they're Utah, they're looking for your other service base. Where's the best place they can go?
So best place to go for the Unshakable program is just going to be unshakablemother.com. Sign right up. You'll get a call with me. Let's chat, right? Let's find your number one goal as well as how we can help you. For additional inquiries, you can reach me at Jen at breakingbarrierstherapy.com. If you have some special needs, kiddos in your life, or even those spicy kids you want to talk about or reach out for services, as well as Jen at ClarityAction.com.
All right. Thanks again for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Hey, all right. Thanks.
You're listening and watching the Neil Haley